Hello everyone, this is Kathy with Paper Phenomenon. I showed you the Mr. Benjamin album yesterday in this version. I said I was gonna make one in another version, which is the Graphic45 Cityscapes. So some of you may want to make this album, so I decided to make the album cover, record myself so you guys can see it. So you're going to see that in just a moment. So if you want to make the Cityscape version, here is how you do the album cover, and I'll show you, you'll see the video in just a moment. And I want to let you all know that I did the 3-inch spine as opposed to the 2-inch spine in the original version. Alright guys, so watch the video, enjoy it. So if you want to make Mr. Benjamin, I will link you down below to the tutorial, which will show you how to make the, the album cover, all that good stuff, the pages, and everything that you saw in the previous video that I talked about here. All right, but if you want to use the Cityscapes paper, stay tuned. You're going to see the video on the construction of the album cover. Thank you so much. Hello everyone. I'm working on the Cityscapes version of the Mr. Benjamin album. All right. I also want to let you know that I cut my spine at the 3/4, at the 3 inches. All right, 3 inches and the 3/8 inch gusset in between. All right. So you guys are going to get to look at what this is going to look like with the 3-inch spine. But I want to show you how I'm going to work on my cover because I know many of you like to see these things. So you're going to cut these two papers at 11¼ inches. All right. So for this one, so you can center this image perfectly, I want you to cut 3/8 after you remove the branding strip. So make sure you remove the branding strip. And of course, I can't find it now. You got to remove this first. This piece first. Then you measure and you knock off 3/8 of an inch from the top and 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. That way you get a perfectly centered 11¼ inch. Okay. And then this one, just cut this one down to 11¼ inches. You're good to go. All right, so now what you want to do is overlap these two, and you're only going to overlap by 1/4 inch. So you're going to attach the tape to this piece here. All right, all the way to the edge, please. Do not go over. I mean, so close to the edge that you are on the edge. Okay, on the edge. 1/4 inch tape, please, because you're only overlapping by 1/4 inch. Now, I want you to overlap this piece onto this piece by the 1/4 inch. So remove the tape backing and go ahead and you're going to move these papers however you need to get this perfect. And you may see my big old head in the way, so forgive me. Alrighty, so remember you want this one on top of this one. And by the 1/4 inch overlap. If you need to draw a line, go for it. Okay. That is not a problem. See that? Perfect. So we've got our attached pieces. And I want you to see what I'm doing here. You've got the front cover on your left-hand side and the back cover on your right-hand side. This is important because when you rest your pieces down, you want this to be like this. You don't want it, arranged in the opposite way because you're going to get the front cover on the back cover on the front cover. You know the deal, party people. Not good. I want you to grab your scoreboard. I want you to score on the back cover at 3/4 inch. And then rotate that one way, clockwise, not counterclockwise, clockwise. And score again up until you can, score at 3/4 inch. 3/4 inch. So now you should have a score line on, if you flip it over, right, here's your front cover, a score line on your right-hand side and on the bottom. Okay, so I'm over here, south, bottom. This is top, north. Okay, so on the south and on the right-hand side, that is your back cover. Okay, so now what you're going to do is, here's your album cover, and you follow the tutorial. You're going to cut it, tape it, all is good. All right, and now you're going to remove the tape backing. You may not see the lines here, but they're there, okay? And those lines are to help you adjust your book to get a perfect placement on your book. All right, so when you're ready to wrap this, you know, you don't have any trouble doing that. Sometimes I can see my score lines perfectly, but sometimes I have to, whatchamacallit, I like to just go ahead and do the same thing on the opposite side, just because, guys, this is not even a joke. I swear my head is on crooked. It takes so much for me to get something on there straight that it's very difficult, period. So I like to have all of these precautions in place, which will allow me to get my cover on there straight. Now, seriously, my friends, make sure that the orientation is correct of your book. Make sure that, again, your lines, when you flip it over to the wrong side, this is the right side, right? This is what you want to show on your front cover, that the back cover is on your right-hand side. That is where your 3/4 inch line will be on your right-hand side. And then at the bottom, which would be south, right? You have that 3/4 inch line as well. And that's if you need proper guiding. You know, if you think you can center this, go for it, people. But I know that I can't, so I must do this. Okay, so I get it right on that score line. Right on that score line. And I don't really stretch my book out. I leave it in its relaxed state. Don't stretch your cover out. All right, and then stick it down. See that? Beautiful. Now we have all this excess paper, which is in the front. Now what I want you to do is cut at 3/4 of an inch. Okay? And I got to flip my book around in all sorts of directions because I have to get a good angle to get a good cut. All right, and don't. So, of course, do not discard this, but put it to the side, please. And front cover. So here's your seam. I want you to go ahead and burnish that seam till you can't no more, people. Burnish, 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 burnish. Okay. Now, grab your scoring tool and go ahead, not so hard, gentle. Graphic45 paper is pretty thin. We've already got score lines on the bottom, but just go for it. Score some more. And this is going to allow you to wrap your cover just a lot easier, okay? And on this side as well. Okay, so if you look at this, you're going to see your cover already taking shape, right? So that's what your cover is going to look like right there. And it's beautiful. It's going to be the black all the way. See that? Now we need to make this pretty. So what I like to do there is, if you grab your pad, where is it? I love this down here. So I'm going to tear this piece out and I'm going to cut right at the stamps, okay? Give me a second. We'll see how much of that is usable, right? Okay, so right at the stamps, and you know we have to bring this down to 11 1/4 inches. So ideally, I want to cover up this here. I don't like that border there. And, oh, this way, sorry. So we need something to break that up. Because I feel like if you have a frame on this side, you got to have it on the other side. Otherwise, you can see that it is all cut up. So you got to get rid of that frame. I'm not liking there's no contrast there with the Okay, I still want that, but I need some contrast. And what we might have to do is this, and then lay that on top. Okay, that's what's going to happen. So I am going to, what am I going to do? Give me a second to think here, guys. Because this is just, again, going to overlap by that 1/4 of an inch only. I do love that. That looks really good. But let's see what else we can do. That looks pretty. See what's back here. This color is very pretty as well. I think I've got it. Where is my thing at? Okay, so we're going to grab another one of these sheets here. And we're going to cut right at the, I need it to overlap here. I'm going to cut right at the black. Okay, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Remember, the goal is to cover up this piece of framing here, which I do not like. That's it. Beautiful. And I've got that original paper back in place. So I just need to cut the branding strip off first, right? And then remove that 3/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom. And you're not seeing this, but I'll show you in just a minute. All right, so now we have a perfect. So I essentially redid the cover. But I still want a little bit of a teeny tiny border. I still love this though, guys. I have to tell you. I really do. I love that. So, here's what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm recording. You think I'm talking to myself? Oh gosh. All right, so let me line this up. I'm going to cut the 3/8 of an inch off the top and the bottom, right? 1, 2, 3. Well, it doesn't matter. I can just cut this down to 11 1/4. Doesn't matter. Okay. So I really, really like this. This is what I really like that. If I would have chose a different paper, I wouldn't be having this problem. If I would have had a stripe on the back there. But I love that. So, my friends, it's got to be done. What size is this? It has got to be done. So we're cutting another strip of black striping at 1 3/4 inches by the 11 1/4. Okay, 1 3/4 inches by 11 1/4. We are going to ink this up because this definitely needs some definition. And then I'm going to cut right at the red. Okay? Let's see if I can get that to happen without destroying it. And I don't think I'll be able to, so I'll have to use another sheet. My trimmer is not very friendly for that. Alrighty. So right at the red line, we're going to leave, you know, all the rest of that there. And by 11 1/4 inches again, once I get bent on something, I must have it. So before we prep, before we stick this down, we're going to go ahead and stick this on there, and this is what it's going to look like. And I really like that a lot. Okay. So let's get our tape on here. And a 1/4 of an inch tape over here as well. Before you glue this down, ink it. Get a really good edge of ink on there on both sides. The top and the bottom doesn't matter because we're going to wrap that around to the inside. All right, so I'm going to, now the choice is, these are my choices. Let's see what we got. This, and I like that because it matches the burgundy on there. Remember, we're not going to see that blue on the top, on the bottom. It's important that you guys understand that. So we're looking at that, or let's see. Maybe that stripe is not the way to go. Maybe we can do a different paper. I'm just very partial to stripes. I do like the stripe. Okay. But I think I'm going to cut this down to 1.5 instead of 1 3/4 inches. Let's see what we got there. Okay, so now we are at 1.5, and I like this best. So I'm going to take the tape off. And I'm going to layer the streets, you know, right with the edge. Nice and straight, right? It's got to be straight. We're doing that. And now I'm going to ink this side over here because that's important. So we have a smaller, much narrow stripe there. And on this edge, give it like 3 or 4 coats of black, really nice edge. Okay, and now we're going to overlap there. So you see some of the, let me see, I think a little more right there. You want to be right over the edge, over the seam, excuse me, not the edge, the seam. So I am going to make sure my tape is really close to the edge. Alrighty, because that's important. Because you're going over a seam and you're just reinforcing that seam, guys, okay? And then I think the 3/8 inch tape will be perfection here. Yes, it will be. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I did 1/2 inch, 3/8 inch tape. And if you want, you can go for another ink so you could get even a darker edge. Alrighty, and then this looks good too, like that. Look at that. But this is definitely ideal. Well, for me at least. Trying to think here. Yeah, so you're gonna stick it down. Let's remove the tape backing. And remember, you're gonna just slightly overlap this seam right here. just slightly. And if you need to set your book down, please do so. So the goal here is to overlap the seam and to cover up that that frame, this little corner of the frame here. Now remember, come on people, let's go for straight, right? Just want to make sure where I am here. Covering up my seam. That looks pretty darn good. Burnish, please. You do not want this paper to go into the spine, all right? You still want some of this postage paper that's right here on this side to show on the front cover, and that is exactly what I got. And I have to tell you, I love it. Love, love, love. So there is no frame, only top and bottom, and that just looks like a border that I added, right? Look at that. How gorgeous. Let's wrap this. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Right, so we've wrapped 1,000,001 albums together, haven't we? So I'm just gonna whip by this. We're gonna go ahead and remove the tape from the in between the chipboard pieces. We're going to apply tape around the perimeter of the album onto the decorative paper or cardstock, depending what you're using. So all the way around the perimeter, I'm using 1/2" tape, and I am attaching that pretty close to the edge. All right, I'm trying to get on the edge, but it's not imperative that I am right on that edge. So go ahead and line it up with the cut edge of the pattern paper as best you can. And then we're going to wrap our album. Okay, remember, for this version of Mr. Benjamin, I cut my spine at 3 inches as opposed to the original book, which was at 2 inches. This definitely needs a lot more space than that 2-inch spine. All right, so now I am going to miter my corners approximately 1/4 inch away from the edge of the album, the edge of the chipboard, that corner edge. I'm using the Perfect Trim ruler to miter my corners, okay? Perfect Trim ruler, and you can find that at perfecttrimruler.com. Has the perfect spacing for mitering your corners to get that perfect 1/4 inch spacing that you need to get a properly wrapped album cover. All right, and that's looking pretty good. And right here. All right, here we go. So before you remove all of this tape backing, and yes, you are removing the tape from in between the chipboard pieces, I want you to grab your burnishing tool, bone folder, whatever you guys like to work with. And I want you to kind of tug on your pattern paper. Be careful, you don't want to tear it. But what I want you to do is create a perfect crease. I want you to tug on it and burnish. Okay? I want you to create a perfect crease on that edge of your album. It's going to do 2 things for you. It's going to give you a beautifully finished album cover, and it's going to allow you to wrap the excess cardstock onto your chipboard, finishing up your album cover. Okay? It's going to make it really easy, and you get this beautiful crease on your album cover. You get no bubbling, no warping, no nothing. So go ahead and train that paper to fold over and onto the chipboard. All right, nice and neat. Remember, you've got this excess paper here, so you want to be sure that that is wrapping around nice and tight without buckling your album cover. So let's go ahead and remove the tape backing, guys. So let's fold that pattern paper back into the original position. Let's remove the tape from in between the chipboard pieces. And from the top and the bottom. You can do all four sides if you're comfortable doing that. I take it one step at a time, so I'm just doing that. All right, and I'm starting in the middle. And notice I didn't go in for the stick right away. I'm kind of still, once again, ensuring that my paper is going to wrap beautifully around the edge of the chipboard. And it is absolutely doing that. So I'm going to go in for that stick. And that looks perfect. Burnish really, really tightly with your fingers. You want to be very aggressive. And then wrap the other side as well. Careful not to buckle your album covers. Your chipboard will, it'll buckle if you're too rough with it. And that'll just ruin your book. So go in and burnish. This bone folder that I'm using is called the angled bone folder, and you can get it at bonefolder.com. It's a Teflon bone folder. It is fantastic. It's great for burnishing. I do not use it for scoring. I use the stylus that comes with my scoreboard to score. All right, so did you notice what I did here? You're going to place your fingers in that gusset and you're going to fold. Okay, place your fingers in that gusset and you're going to fold. All right, and there's your album cover. How gorgeous is that? Beautiful. Now, to finish this off, you're going to notice that you have a little bit of excess pattern paper or cardstock, if that's what you chose to use in your case, that's kind of overlapping that corner. So what you want to do is you want to, kind of like when you're wrapping a present where you tuck those edges in to fold the other two pieces over, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to tuck it in, wrap it around that corner, and then create a flat surface. All right, because when you tuck it in, I'm going to show you, I'm going to come in closely. And this takes some finesse, guys. I got to tell you, this took me a long time to get my album covers corners right. So see how let's see if that focuses in. There we go. See how I wrapped it around the corner and you've got like this little piece sticking up on that edge. I call that a little nubbin. You want to make it nice and flat. So you just want to keep on messing with it until you create a nice flat surface. Just flatten it on in there. Then before you remove the tape backing, go ahead and pull and burnish. Remember how we did on the top and the bottom? It's important. You want to pull because you want a perfect edge and crease. Now go for removing the tape backing. Be careful when you pull. You don't want to pull so tight. I've had people tell me that they pull so tight that they tear their pattern paper. Now be careful. You want to pull enough that you get a perfect wrap, but you don't want to, jack up your paper. All right? So be careful, please. Go ahead and press down on those corners. Take your bone folder and press. Get a nice flat edge. Perfectly wrapped corner. There is no exposed chipboard. It's perfection, guys. All right? And I have to tell you, I love this tool. Have absolutely nothing to do with this company, but I use it for every single album. It has multiple uses. There it is. It's perfecttrimruler.com. All right. Let's see if I can get black paper maybe. There it is. perfecttrimruler.com. It is fantastic. So I say buy it if you can. And if you have problems with your album corners, with the corners of the album where the chipboard is exposed, ooh. All right, that's perfection. And then one more wrap, right? That's one more test wrap. So again, training that paper. Because if you don't train your paper to wrap around your chipboard cover before you remove the tape backing, you may stick it prematurely to an area that you don't want it to be. So and it may not wrap completely around the edge nice and tight. So you got to be careful. You want to train that paper to wrap around the chipboard before you remove the tape. All right, so you don't have to undo anything. Look at that. How gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So let's look at our album cover. That is really pretty. I love it so very much. I hope you guys love it. Love the paper choices. And when I come back, my binding will be done. My pages will be attached and my album will be decorated because I went ahead and I followed my Mr. Benjamin tutorial and I used all black paper and I used all the larger photo mats in this case. All right, what's really nice about the larger photo mats is that you can also use a decorative punch if you want to punch the edges. More than likely I won't do that because again, I'm a very simple crafter. I love clean lines. But if you're wondering what I'm working on is this album, you look at my previous video and you will see the final review on this video and all of the decorating. So when I come back, my binding will be done. This album will be using the Hidden Hinge Plus binding system. And I'll have it completely decorated for you all. All right, so enjoy. I hope you love it.